let's talk about these four things. I mean, most of us, like, we see things, but we consider, we mix things with others, you know. So like typography, hand lettering, calligraphy, and there is handwriting or cursive writing, we call it. So how these are differentiated, how these are a family, and how these are differentiated, and what is the relation between them. So let me just take you quickly to how to, you know. So let's talk about typography. What is typography to you? I mean, typography is something that we play with types, you know, to make it legible, we set types in a manner to make it legible and to make it readable. And at the same time, we try to communicate also. So this is what typography is. So arrangement of the types. And then we go to hand lettering. So hand lettering is basically, it's a drawing of letters. So we don't, in hand lettering, we don't use any particular kind of tools. You can draw letters with anything, you know, with pencil, with pen, with ink pen, with anything, whatever you have. So that's how hand lettering thing is. Let's move to calligraphy. Okay, so calligraphy and hand lettering. Most of the time, these two terms are we confuse to understand. So calligraphy is basically done with specialized tools. It has a very special tools, and it has a particular rules to follow. It has particular nibs to follow. So mostly it depends upon the uh, tools. And also the whole difference between all these four is the process. That's how we understand. The process is different. And even sometimes you can get confused between typography and hand lettering too. But when you go through the process, when you understand the tools, then you differentiate it between calligraphy and hand lettering. So let's move to handwriting. What is handwriting? How we perceive handwriting? Okay, so handwriting is something that we do. Every individual have their own kind of handwriting, right? So handwriting basically is the gestural movement with very minimal details. We don't pay so much attention to our writing. So it's a gesture movement. Unconsciously, consciously, we keep uh, making marks. We keep making movements. So that's how our handwriting is. So hopefully, with these examples, uh, we have little clarity about these four things. So let's talk about the tools, and these all the images and the artwork you are watching on the screen. It's done by me. So let's see what tools we use and what kind of result you get. So you see, this is a pointed pen nib and with the holder. So this is Tachikawa holder with the rubber grip. Okay, we can move to next one. Okay, so these are the examples of pointed pen calligraphy. So you can see examples of pointed nibs. So you can see on the right hand corner, so uh, there is manuscript, there is speedball nibs, there is Tachikawa and Nikkoji. So these are the pointed pen nibs. And you can see the ink, and you can see the examples of the pointed pen calligraphy. So this is how pointed pen calligraphy look like. Okay, we can move to next slide. All right, so this is our very traditional tool, like the ancient calligraphers, scribers. They use this bamboo reeds to write on papers, on papyrus. Like they have like at that time there were no papers, so they use leaves of the trees and the bark of the trees to write it, and they process it somehow to make it you know, so you can write it. So these are done by two examples you are seeing on the screen is done by these reeds. So we can move to next. So these are modern day brush pens. So what you're watching on the screen on the left is Pentel brush pens. These are Pentel sign brush pens. So, and these are the examples how the kind of result you get with it. So there is April and there is monsoon is written on the right. All right, we can move to next. Okay, so these are Pentel Pentel brush pen, and the one above it is uh, Shakura. It's a traditional coloring brush pen. So you can see the result out of these two. So above one is done with the Shakura, and the downward you see Fam Jam is done with the Pentel sign brush pen, Pentel brush pen actually. Okay, so and these are the example of broad edge nibs. So earlier I have shown you, thank you. Earlier I have shown you the examples of pointed pen calligraphy and the nibs of pointed pen. And these are the examples of broad edge nibs. So you can see on the top right, these are tape nibs. So you can see 4 mm, there is 2 mm and zero point 0.5 mm. So they came in various width. And below right corner, you can see the speedball nibs, calligraphy nibs. And on the left hand side, these are manuscript nibs with various broad edge. Okay, we can move to next. And these are the examples of broad edge calligraphy. So I did, you can, this is Sangrod, which is like social distancing, the distancing thing in Hindi, Devanagari. So I have written Devanagari by using broad edge calligraphy, broad edge nib. And you can see together. So it is done with 2.5 mm broad edge nib, and the downward social distancing, it is done with 0.5 mm tape nib. So you can see the kind of variation we get with these nibs, the kind of flourishes and the kind of, and the paper I'm using in this particular is cartridge sheet. It's available everywhere. You will find in like any stationery shop. Okay, so these are very specialized sort of tools. So these are folded pen, homemade folded pen, and they made out of tin. Maybe you can also make it with a Coke can, or and also the very thin aluminum foil. So, and you can see on the right hand side, it's the result of these uh, pens, and it's a very versatile tool. You can make it very easily, and this kind of result you can get. It has like various sort of width and various. You can have like tremendous amount of variety with these pens. Okay, we can move to next. All right, so these are again very modern tools. So these are steel brush pens. Usually they call as steel brush pens. So the image you see on the left hand side is 10 mm. It's almost 1 inch. It's not 10 mm, 1 inch width steel brush. And you can see the varieties of it. You have like grooves in between to get a really nice kind of textures and results out of it. So we'll see next slide the kind of result we achieve with these pens. Okay, so these are the examples of steel brush pens. So this is how the kind of result you may think of. And you can create anything out of it actually if you have control over it, if you know how to do it. So it's a wonderful tool to experiment. All right, so let's move to, and these are very much like hyped, not hyped, I won't say hyped, very versatile and go to pens. These are pilot parallel pens. So you can see in the image, so the green one is 3.8 mm and the blue one is 6 mm width, broad edge. And the kind of result you will get is on your right side. So it says gratitude, and this circular loop, I hope you have seen somewhere. So these are the results out of pilot pen. So it has a very nice cartridges, so you can fill it with inks, and you can, it's a ready to use sort of thing. So wonderful device to have. You can use anything to write. It's a very
Right.
unique thing. We constrain ourselves and we follow certain notions that we can only write with pens, the mechanical pens that we see in market. So that's not the case. You can write with anything. You can use that spoon, that wooden spoon. You can like chisel down to the point and you can just dip and write it. It's a little irritable in the beginning, but when you get used to it, it's a wonderful
No,
tool
Dilbag.
also.
No, the idea, you're right. The whole idea that we need to take what Dilbag is saying is that don't constrain it with the pens that you have at home. You know, you try to be free.